A midlife crisis is more than just a cultural stereotype. It's a real psychological struggle that can surface between the ages of 40 and 60. Often triggered by aging, loss, or unmet expectations, it can actually lead individuals to question their identity, make impulsive choices, or abruptly abandon long term commitments. While not officially classified yet as a mental illness, the emotional and relational fallout is very real, especially for the spouses and families left behind. This podcast gives voice to those living through the aftermath, exposing the hidden pain, and seeking accountability, healing, and understanding. Thank you for joining us today on MLC Bomb Drop and Beyond. Hey guys, welcome to today's episode here on MLC Bomb Drop and Beyond. Have you ever sat across from someone you loved, someone you've actually built a life with, had children with, and thought, how are we remembering the same life completely differently? How can someone look you in the eyes and deny things that you know happened? And we're not talking opinions and we're not talking interpretations. We're talking facts, real facts. And yet somehow you're the one who ends up questioning yourself, your memory, your reactions, your sanity. Well, you guys, that's not miscommunication. That is gaslighting. I recently watched Gaslit. It's a true story based on the story of Morgan Metzer, uh, rooted in public scandal, deception, manipulation. And here's what hit me. This isn't just something that happens in politics or in headlines. You guys, this is happening behind closed doors, inside marriages, inside families, every single day. And a lot of it, if you've been through a midlife crisis, discard, or lived with a covert narcissist, you didn't just lose a partner, you lost your sense of reality. Gaslighting isn't just lying. Gaslighting systematically trains you to stop trusting yourself. Like, well, did that happen? And when people say to you, well, you're just too sensitive, you're imagining things, you always twist everything, and slowly and you start saying, oh my God, maybe I'm wrong. What's wrong with me? And you guys, I know this is how you feel because in midlife crisis, especially with covert narcissistic traits, gaslighting becomes a survival tool for them. They rewrite history, they minimize your role, they distort your character. It's so common in midlife crisis. And why do they do that? Because the truth doesn't support the life that they're trying to justify. So instead of facing guilt, they rewrite the story so they can live with themselves. And this is what you felt, whether you had words for it or not. Confusion that doesn't go away, replaying conversations over and over and over again. And like me, trying to, going out and doing EMDR, which really does help. You're trying to prove what happened, trying to make it all make sense, and it doesn't make sense. You start to feel anxious, hyper-aware, like you're walking on eggshells in your very own life. And here's the truth. You're not crazy. You are reacting to a reality that is being intentionally distorted. It's amazing that this is even allowed. And that was control. That was avoidance, and it was emotional manipulation. And you guys, before I share this next part, I want to be really clear. This is my personal experience and perspective. I'm not diagnosing anyone or making claims. I'm just sharing what I lived through and what I see now with clarity. Because once you come out of the fog, you don't just see the ending differently, you start to see your entire relationship differently. And for me, that was a huge awakening. I realized lack of real affection, how he wouldn't sit next to me on the couch. I love yous didn't feel present or meaningful. I didn't feel truly emotionally supported. He wouldn't even stick up for me. And over time, I started to feel almost smaller. He didn't really connect with my friends, and I didn't feel like our children were always seen for who they were as individuals. There were moments where I found myself questioning my own reactions, my own instincts. And looking back, it felt like parts of who I was were becoming like dimmed, or even like there was something on my head pushing me down. I remember clearly, um, being told, that I didn't order things correctly in restaurants. And this is from me, somebody who used to own restaurants and vacations especially, it rarely felt like it could be just the 2 of us. Socially, I often felt alone. At events, he would sometimes drift off, leaving me by myself. There were moments that felt dismissive or uncomfortable, even in front of our friends and children. I remember feeling unsupported in spaces where I should have felt like we were a team and we were not. And then there were patterns I didn't understand at the time, special moments, holidays, dinners, celebrations that would sometimes shift unexpectedly. Tension would show up, arguments would start, and the emotional tone would change quickly. Even after moments of closeness, distance would follow. It became a pattern that left me feeling confused and emotionally off balance. There were also situations where I later realized the stories or perceptions about me may not have been represented accurately to others, and that's a hard thing to come to terms with. And looking back now, I can see there were patterns around emotional disconnection, inconsistency, and behaviors that I didn't fully understand at the time. Things that over time made me feel unsettled, unsure, and questioning myself. But here's what I know now, that wasn't the kind of love I thought it was. I felt like I was constantly adjusting, trying to understand, trying to reconnect, while slowly I was losing my sense of certainty in myself. Gaslighting doesn't just break your heart, it breaks your trust in your own mind. I remember when I was going through breast cancer, I went to Texas for a second opinion, and I went all by myself. At the time, I told myself, oh, it's fine. I'll just go by myself, that I was strong, I could handle it. But looking back now, I realize what that moment really represented, because when you're facing something like that, you shouldn't have to do it alone. And then there's something else that's almost surreal to me now. I look at my bookshelf and see the books I'd been reading years before everything fell apart. Books on marriage, emotional disconnection, and it hits me. On some level, I must have known, but maybe not consciously, maybe not fully, but something in me was trying to understand what didn't feel right. And they're not kidding. When like that book, The Body Keeps the Score, yeah, your body often knows before you do. And that's the thing about this kind of experience. Your mind might not have the words yet, but your body knows. Your intuition knows. And it starts trying to wake you up long before the actual bomb drop happens. And the moment you stop trying to prove your reality to someone who doesn't meet you in it, that's the moment that you start coming back to yourself. You stop chasing the explanation. You stop chasing the blast. You stop defending your truth, and you start believing yourself again. Just ask yourself, do you feel confused after conversations? Do you replay things, trying to understand what happened? Do you feel like your reactions are constantly being questioned? Has your sense of reality felt shaken? Well, if so, it may be time to stop questioning yourself and start trusting what you've been feeling. After everything I watched in Gaslit by my husband, after the manipulation, the denial, the rewriting of truth, this is the takeaway that I could not ignore and had to share here on this show today. Gaslighting does not start loud. It starts so subtly. A comment here, a denial there, a moment where something feels off, but you can't quite explain why. And over time, it's not just the relationship that changes, but you change. You start second guessing yourself, just like Morgan did in the movie. You start explaining yourself more. You start trying harder to be understood. And what that movie Gaslit shows so clearly, it's this. It's not about one big lie. It is about a pattern of distortion that slowly pulls you away from your own reality. And you guys, when you're caught in gaslighting, you don't realize it's happening until you're already deep inside it. Gaslighting doesn't just hide the truth from others, it hides the truth from you. And that's why so many of you listening today didn't see it right away, because it wasn't obvious, it wasn't loud, it wasn't clear, it was subtle, gradual, confusing, until one day you realized you didn't recognize yourself anymore. But here's a takeaway I want you to hold on to today. The moment you begin to trust your own thoughts again, trust your own memories, your own instincts, That's the moment the fog starts to lift. Because gaslighting only has power when it disconnects you from yourself. And the way out is not convincing them of your truth. The way out is reconnecting to yourself. You guys, your MLCer didn't just leave. They rewrote the story so they wouldn't have to face what they did. And for a while, you may have believed it too. You questioned yourself. You replayed everything. You tried to make it make sense. And it'll never make sense. But here's the truth. You don't need their version of events to validate your reality. You were there, you lived it, you felt it. Gaslighting doesn't just break your heart, it breaks your trust in your own mind. And the moment you take that back, the moment you take back your voice, your memory, your instincts, that is the moment that their version loses its power. You don't need their closure. You don't need their agreement, and you sure don't need their version of the truth. Because the truth is, you didn't imagine it, you didn't overreact, and you didn't deserve it. You survived it. You survived it, you see it now, and that changes everything. Stay with me, Bomb Squad. We are coming back to ourselves. Thanks for joining me here today on Bomb Drop and Beyond, and we'll see you in the next episode. Hey guys, this is Trina, and I want to take a moment to speak directly to anyone who didn't choose the collapse, but is living with the aftermath. When a spouse enters midlife crisis, the damage doesn't unfold slowly. It happens like an explosion. One day you're living a shared life with your best friend, and the next moment, that person that you have trusted and loved for so many years has emotionally disappeared almost overnight, rewriting history, minimizing the damage, and running from the very family they helped build. Friends are confused, the story gets simplified, and the spouse left behind is often expected to handle it quietly, gracefully, all while absorbing the fallout all alone. After the bomb drop, a survival guide for the left behind spouse was written for you. This book doesn't offer platitudes or false hope. It names what others avoid. Inside, I will walk you through what is actually happening when someone runs from themselves, why chasing answers only deepens the wound, and how to stabilize your life after emotional abandonment. In this book, we talk about why these departures feel so sudden and destabilizing. Because, in fact, they are destabilizing. And why the spouse who stays is often blamed, erased, or silenced. Why saving yourself is not abandonment, and how to grieve someone who is still alive while finding your footing again. This book does not promise reconciliation. It offers you guys something more necessary at this time, and that is stability, dignity, and a way forward when someone else has chosen to run after the bomb drop. The survival guide for the left behind spouse is available now on Amazon Kindle in both ebook and paperback. It's also available in audio version on Spotify. And if you're standing in the blast radius and wondering how to survive what you did not cause, this book was written for you. Hey, some resources that are available for you guys are thewifeexpert.com. That's Lori McDermott over there at thewifeexpert.com. She also has a new app out. There's tons of videos that can give you all kinds of information on no matter where you are on your MLC journey or trying to reconcile with your spouse. So check out thewifeexpert.com. And if you're not sure if your spouse or yourself is in maybe approaching or in a midlife crisis, be sure to check out Kenda Root's quiz at midlifecrisismarriageadvocate.com. Again, that's a midlifecrisismarriageadvocate.com. That's a quick little 2-minute quiz. It's free. So check that out as well. We have a ton of resources out there for you guys. So check them out. Thanks. The stories and events discussed in this podcast are for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be considered legal, medical, or professional advice. Any names, locations, or identifying details have been changed to protect privacy. Any similarities to actual persons, living or dead, or real events are purely coincidental. The information presented on this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered as professional advice. Always consult with a qualified expert regarding any decisions related to your specific situation. The views expressed by guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or the podcast creators. Hey, if you have a story you'd like to share with our listeners, or if you'd like to be a guest on the show, please email mlcbombdrop@gmail.com. Again, that's mlcbombdrop@gmail.com. All right. Thanks for listening. We'll see you soon.